My name is John Nally, and I'm a photographer living in New York. On Facebook, I call myself Social Diarist. I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, in the same hospital, in fact, that President Obama was born in, Kapiolani Maternity and Gynecological Hospital in Honolulu. My father was an officer in the military, although he wasn't when I was born, but he became an officer when I was in grade school. So when I was born in Hawaii, then we moved to Delaware, then to California, then to the New York area, then to Michigan. So I lived, around the United States. My dad's from Iowa, so a lot of my family are in Iowa, have lived there for generations, and my mom is from New York. Christmas of 1970, which made me 11 years old, and that very same Christmas, I got an almanac, one of those information please almanacs. And I remember seeing they had that list of addresses of all the government officials. And I thought, oh, let me write a letter to Defense Secretary Melvin Laird and to end the war in Vietnam. So I wrote this letter. We lived on a military base on Fire Island. There's a little Coast Guard base there. Wrote a letter demanding to the Secretary of Defense that they end the war in Vietnam. In my teenage years, I was on the school newspaper in junior high and then later in high school. I was taking pictures largely of friends and everyday life. High school, I got a better camera. I got a Mamiya camera, 35mm. That was quite good, and used that all through. Ended up using that through college. Welcome to my workplace. This is where I prepare a lot of my photographs for Facebook. I use Picasa software, which is kind of a poor man's Photoshop, and it does a lot of work. And I like to combine my photography with activism, documenting various communities, whether it's sometimes nightlife, sometimes political action, sometimes the lesbian gay community, sometimes the history of New York City. I'm very interested in history in general. I want a sense almost of movement in the photos, almost like a poetic kind of poetry going on and then just to get the feelings kind of jump out at you. And I've tried to capture a lot and document a lot of the political activity within ACT UP, Queer Nation, even like during the Reagan era, a lot of anti-intervention movements. It's very incremental and slow at times, so we feel like we're not making change. Bobby Kennedy talked about we each are like that little ripple in our own little backyard, and with all those little ripples together, we can change the world. It seems slow at times, but like Dr. King said, justice is the final thing. It all bends toward justice in the end. On my photo page on Facebook, I call it Social Diarist, and that was a friend had suggested that title for me because I've been thinking of something to call it. And I put the plus in there because it was like an affinity group from the ACT UP period called Art Positive. And we had organized around the issue of like censorship in the arts. And I liked that. It was like HIV positive. So it was a connection in that way, politically and socially as well. And on that page, that's where I put a lot of, you'll get an art opening, you'll get a poetry reading, you'll get someone's birthday party in a bar, like a go-go boy. You'll get the whole kind of spectrum of people that are part of my life that, I think that people like to see, and people, even if you're not particularly in that group, it gives you an entree into that world and seeing, just people interacting there. I've been told by people, like, I didn't think of it, like when I was doing it at the time, these were my friends or people that I knew, or they were causes that I cared about, like with ACT UP, at demonstrations, at a variety of, like, for instance, we were picketing the offices of Stephen Joseph. He was the health commissioner. Or also, we were doing a demonstration at the federal courthouse on the 2nd anniversary of the Hardwick decision. And it was just people I knew and everyday people I wanted to, like, either like the t-shirt they were wearing, it said something, or it was just the climate of the day, and wanting to capture that and capture my community. But by capturing my community, I capture me and people close to me. Facebook for me has been really wonderful. Maybe because I'm an Aquarius, I'm really into various kinds of different people. I almost like to collect people, I don't like to let them go. So on Facebook, I have connections with people from junior high, high school, college. There was a group of people that I met in 8th grade. We all worked on the McGovern campaign in 1972. And they're my age now. They're in their early 50s like I am. And we still have things in common. To this day, if we're talking from 1970 and 72, it's almost 40 years ago. And fast forward to the present, we still have similar interests. Basically able to connect with all of those different groups. And Facebook allows me to reach out to them. I don't know if at the time I appreciated the fact, because now when people see those photographs on Facebook, it gives them a sense of connection with that, which, that's really good. I'm glad people that weren't even born then are seeing that they feel a sense of connection with that time. The pictures they're seeing are from a very empowered part of that time. They're not having to see like the terrible stuff that went on when we would visit our friends in the hospital dying of AIDS, or the way our friends were treated in the hospitals. And I really don't want them to see that. That's a kind of a horror. That's why we fought that's why we fought a long time ago, so they wouldn't have to, that the current generation wouldn't have to deal with that kind of nonsense. And I'm glad for them to see the empowerment, because they'll have their own moment to empower themselves. It's not going to be the way I empowered myself or the way my peers empowered themselves, but they're going to find their own issue, their own moment that they can rise to the challenge. And it's good that they've seen these photographs. They know it's possible, and that people before them did it and they can do it, and the people after them will do it. It's a natural cycle. And there are many kinds of things I like to post about that. I like to delve into our history, because I think it says something that we can do for the present, that we never have to be pessimistic, that there's always hope, and that we can look to the past to have good things in the future.